The room went silent. Guns stopped midair. Men who feared nothing froze, because a small voice echoed through the hall. "Daddy." A little girl stood at the entrance, barefoot, shaking. Her eyes locked on the most dangerous man in the city. Kajethan Hyun, the ruthless Mafia boss who hated children. The man who once said, "Children are weakness." But now, his enemies slowly turned to him with wicked smiles. "Seems like the devil has a daughter." Kajethan's jaw tightened. Because the truth, he had never seen that child before. So why? Did she look exactly like him? Kajethan Hyun did not move. The hall was still frozen from that one word. "Daddy." It echoed again in his head, louder this time, heavier, like a bullet that did not miss. Kajethan stood in the center of the room, tall and unmoved, dressed in a black suit that looked like it belonged on a battlefield, not a meeting. The dim light above him cast shadows across his sharp jaw and the dark tattoos that climbed up his neck like secrets that refused to stay hidden. Men feared him. Not just here in Korea, not just in this city. Everywhere. His name was enough to end lives. He built everything with blood, with silence, with fear. He trusted no one. He loved no one. And children. He hated them. They were loud, weak, helpless. They reminded him of something he had locked away long ago, something broken, something he never wanted to see again. "Finish the deal," he had said just seconds ago, his voice calm, cold, final. The man on the floor cried harder, shaking as he reached out. "Please, I have a family, I have kids." Kajethan did not blink. Children did not save anyone here. Nothing did. But now, everything had stopped. Because of her. The little girl stood at the entrance of the hall, barefoot on the cold marble floor. Her small hands hung by her sides, but they trembled slightly. Her dress was simple, clean but worn. She looked so small in a room full of monsters. So soft in a place built on fear. Yet she did not run. She did not cry. Her eyes were locked on him. Kajethan. And those eyes. His chest tightened. Because they were the same. Sharp, dark, unreadable. Just like his. A low murmur spread across the room. Men leaned closer to each other, whispering under their breath. "Look at her face. She looks like..." "No, it can't be." Kajethan took a slow step forward. The sound of his shoe hitting the floor echoed, louder than it should have. His gaze never left the child. "Who are you?" he asked. His voice was calm, but something under it shifted. The girl walked toward him, one small step at a time. No fear, no hesitation. As if she had always known this place. As if she had always known him. "I'm Seomin," she said softly. Her voice was small, but clear enough to cut through every whisper in the room. Kajethan's jaw tightened. The name meant nothing. But her face was a problem. A dangerous one. "My mommy said to find you," she added. A sharp silence fell again. Kajethan felt something cold slide down his spine. Mommy. He did not like where this was going. "Where is she?" he asked, his voice dropping lower now, darker. Seomin stopped walking. Then slowly she turned and pointed behind her. Every head in the room followed her finger. Kajethan's eyes narrowed. Because standing at the entrance was a woman. Still, quiet, watching him. And for a split second, something in his chest moved. Not fear. Not anger. Something else. Something he did not recognize. But he crushed it immediately. His face went cold again. Hard. Dangerous. "Bring her," Kajethan ordered. Two men moved fast, grabbing the woman and pulling her forward. But she did not fight. She did not scream. She just walked, her eyes never leaving his. And as she stepped into the light, Kajethan felt it. That strange pull again. Like a memory trying to break through. But he pushed it down. He always did. Because memories were weakness. And Kajethan Hyun did not have weaknesses. But right now, with a child who had his face, and a woman who felt like a ghost from his past, for the first time in years, control was slipping through his fingers. Seo-min watched quietly, her small hand dropping back to her side. Her eyes moved between them, waiting. As the woman stepped closer, the light from above finally touched her face. Clear, open, and in that moment, Kajethan felt it again. That same flicker, stronger this time, like a memory trying to force its way back. His eyes narrowed. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Because in his world, nothing happened by accident. And right now, a child with his face, and a woman who felt like a forgotten past, had just walked into his life, uninvited, unplanned, and completely out of his control. Imelda stood right in front of him now, close enough for him to see every detail. Kajethan's eyes moved slowly over her face. She was beautiful, but not in a soft way. Not weak, not gentle. There was something sharp in her eyes, something that had survived pain. Her lips were pressed tight, like she had learned how to hold back words for a long time. Fear was there too, but it did not control her. Not anymore. Seo-min moved closer to her and held her hand tightly, as if she already knew this place was not safe. Kajethan noticed that. He noticed everything. "You came into my territory with a lie," he said. His voice was low, cold, every word heavy with warning. Around them, the room stayed silent. No one dared to move. Even the man still on his knees stopped crying. All eyes were on her now, waiting. Imelda did not look away. "It's not a lie," she replied calmly. Her voice was steady. That alone made something in Kajethan shift. People always broke under his voice. But she didn't. Seo-min squeezed her hand tighter. Then, in a small voice, she spoke. "She's your daughter." The words fell into the room like a stone into deep water. Everything stopped again. Even the air felt heavy. Kajethan stared at the child, then at Imelda, then back at the child again. His face did not change, but his eyes darkened. Then suddenly, he laughed. Cold, sharp, dangerous. The kind of laugh that made men step back without thinking. "I don't make mistakes like that," he said. His tone was clear, final. In his world, nothing happened by accident. Every move was planned. Every action controlled. A child. A hidden daughter. No. That was weakness. And Kajethan Hyun did not allow weakness. But Imelda stepped closer. One step. Then another. The guards tensed, ready to pull her back. But Kajethan raised his hand slightly. They froze. His eyes stayed on her. Watching. Measuring. Waiting. "7 years ago," she said quietly, "you saved me." The words were soft, but they hit hard. Kajethan's expression did not change. Not even a blink. But inside, something moved. A crack. Small. Barely there. But real. 7 years ago. Rain. Dark streets. A girl in an alley. His mind flashed for a second. Too fast to catch. Too sharp to ignore. But he shut it down. Hard. He had buried that part of his life. He did not look back. Ever. "You expect me to believe that?" he asked. His voice was colder now. More dangerous. But Imelda didn't stop. "You found me bleeding," she continued. "You didn't ask who I was, you didn't care. Kajethan's jaw tightened slightly. She took another step closer. Now she was standing right in front of him, closer than anyone had ever stood without fear. "You took me in," she said, "just for one night." Seo-min looked up at Kajethan, her eyes wide and searching, like she was trying to see something in him, something only she believed was there. Imelda's voice softened. "You saved my life." Kajethan said nothing. The room waited. The guards watched. His enemies listened carefully. Because this was new. This was dangerous. And for the first time in years, Kajethan felt something he could not control. Not anger. Not power. But something deeper. Something pulling at a memory he had tried to forget. His eyes slowly moved to Seo-min again. Her face. Her eyes. Too familiar. Too real. Then back to Imelda. And that same flicker returned. Stronger now. Like the past was no longer asking, but forcing its way back in. 7 years ago. The memory came back slowly. Not soft. Not kind. It came like rain hitting hard glass. Cold, sharp, unwanted. That night had been dark. The kind of dark that swallowed the streets whole. Rain poured from the sky without mercy, washing blood into the drains, hiding sins no one wanted to see. Kajethan had been walking alone. No guards, no noise. Just silence and wet streets. That was how he liked it. Then he saw her. A shape in the alley. Still. Broken. Bleeding. He stopped. Not because he cared, but because something about her did not fit. She was too still. Too quiet. Like life had already left her. He stepped closer. Rain soaked her clothes. Her hair stuck to her face, her skin pale under the dim light. Her breathing was weak. Barely there. Kajethan looked down at her. He did not ask questions. He did not check who she was. He did not care. That was his rule. No attachments. No stories. No problems. But then, she opened her eyes. Slowly. Painfully. And she looked at him. Not with fear. Not with anger. But with something else. Hope. Like he was the only thing left in her world. Like if he walked away, she would die. Kajethan felt something shift in his chest. Small. Annoying. Unwanted. He should have walked away. He always did. But that night, he didn't. He bent down, lifted her without a word, and took her with him. Just for one night. That was the rule. One night. No names. No questions. No future. He gave her a place to rest. A dry bed. A doctor. Nothing more. Nothing personal. She stayed quiet the whole time. Watched him like she was trying to understand something. But he ignored it. He always ignored things that did not matter. And before the sun came up, she was gone. No note. No goodbye. Just gone. Like she had never been there. Kajethan never looked for her. Never thought about her again. Until now. "I left before morning," Imelda said. Her voice pulled him back. "You never saw me again." Kajethan's jaw tightened. He remembered. Not her face. Not clearly. But that night. Yes. He remembered. Rain. Blood. Those eyes. "I didn't know I was pregnant," she continued. Her voice dropped slightly, but it did not break. Until it was too late. The words hung in the air. Heavy. Dangerous. Seo-min looked up at him again. Her small hand slipped from her mother and held onto her dress. "I've been looking for you," she whispered. Her voice was soft. Careful. Like she did not want to say the wrong thing. Kajethan looked at her. Really looked this time. At her eyes. Her face. Her shape. Everything. Too many answers were starting to form. And he did not like it. Not one bit. He turned his head away. Sharp. Cold. Like the moment meant nothing. Because in his world, there was no space for this. No space for children. No space for the past. No space for things he could not control. But deep inside, that control was already breaking. The silence did not hold for long. A slow clap echoed from the side of the room. Then a low, mocking laugh. "This is a setup," one of the enemies sneered. He stepped forward, a cruel smile on his face, eyes full of sharp interest. "Using a child to weaken you, how low can they go?" A few others chuckled under their breath. Watching. Waiting. Enjoying the shift in power. Kajethan's head turned slowly toward the man. His eyes darkened. Cold. Deadly. In a second he moved. Fast. Too fast for most to follow. He grabbed the man by the collar and slammed him against the wall. The sound echoed hard across the hall. "I don't get weak," Kajethan said. His voice was low. Dangerous. A warning. The man's smile faded as his feet left the ground slightly. Fear rushed into his eyes too late. But something was off. Something small. Something almost invisible. Kajethan felt it too. His grip was strong. His face was hard. But his voice, it wasn't as steady as before. There was a slight break. A crack. And the room noticed. They always noticed. Then, a small voice cut through the tension. "Don't hurt him." Kajethan froze. The man gasped as his body stopped midair. Kajethan turned his head slowly. Seomin stood there, just a few steps away. Her small hands were clenched at her sides, but her eyes were steady. She wasn't shaking. She wasn't crying. She wasn't afraid. Not of him. That was new. No one stood in front of Kajethan Hyun without fear. No one spoke when he was about to break someone. But she did. And she did it like it was normal. Like he wasn't the most dangerous man in the room. Kajethan stared at her. For a moment too long. Then slowly, he let go. The man dropped to the floor, gasping for air, his body shaking as he crawled away. The room fell quiet again. But it wasn't the same silence as before. This one was heavier. Full of questions. Full of doubt. Imelda watched everything closely. Her eyes never left Kajethan. She saw it. That small pause. That hesitation. That crack in the armor he had built for years. "You don't have to accept us," she said softly. Her voice did not shake. Not even now. But she deserves to know her father. Kajethan did not respond. He just stood there. Still. Thinking. His eyes moved back to Seomin. She looked up at him again. Waiting. Not scared. Not angry. Just waiting. Like she believed he would choose right. Like she believed he was something more than what everyone else saw. And for a second, Kajethan saw it. Not just her face. Not just the sharp line of her jaw or the familiar shape of her eyes. But something deeper. Something he had not seen in years. Himself. Not the man he had become, but the one he used to be. Before the blood. Before the silence. Before he turned his heart into stone. It hit him fast. Hard. And he didn't like it. He looked away again. Quick. Sharp. Like breaking eye contact would erase the feeling. But it didn't. Because now, the problem was no longer the enemies. Or the whispers. Or the threat to his power. The problem was her. The child who wasn't afraid of him. The child who looked like him. The child who might actually be his. The silence broke again. This time, with laughter. Low at first, then louder. Cruel. The great Kajethan Hyun, one of the enemies said, shaking his head slowly. Exposed by a child. More laughter followed. Sharp, mocking. It spread across the room like fire. Kajethan did not move, but his eyes darkened. Slowly. Dangerously. Then, phones came out. One after another. Small screens glowing in the dim hall. Cameras pointed straight at him. At the girl. At the moment. Flashes went off. Bright, blinding. Capturing everything. Recording everything. Humiliation. Public. Deadly. Kajethan's empire was built on control. Perfect control. Every move planned. Every word measured. Every weakness hidden. But right now, control was slipping. And everyone could see it. Seo-min looked around, confused by the sudden noise. The laughter. The lights. The tension. Her small hands trembled slightly. Then, without warning, she moved. Fast. She ran to Kajethan and clung to him. Her arms wrapped around his leg tightly. Daddy, I was scared. The word hit him again. But this time, harder. Deeper. It didn't just echo in his head. It settled in his chest. Heavy. Real. Kajethan froze. His body went still. Every instinct in him told him to step back. To push her away. To end this. Because this was dangerous. This was weakness. But he didn't move. Seo-min held on tighter. Her face pressed against him. Small. Warm. Real. Kajethan looked down at her slowly. His breathing changed. Just a little. Barely noticeable. But it was there. The room went quiet again. Not from fear, but from shock. Because what happened next, no one expected. Slowly, almost like he didn't know how, Kajethan lifted his hand. It hovered in the air for a second. Uncertain. Then, it rested on her back. Light. Awkward. Careful. Like he was touching something fragile for the first time. The room gasped. Some stepped back. Others stared, unable to hide their surprise. Kajethan Hyun. The man who showed no mercy. The man who never touched anyone unless it was to hurt them. Was now standing still. With a child in his arms. Holding her. Protecting her. Even if he didn't understand why. Seo-min relaxed slightly under his hand. Like she had been waiting for that one small action. That one sign. That she wasn't alone. The enemies watched closely. And then, slow smiles spread across their faces. Wider. Sharper. More dangerous than before. Because now, they understood. It wasn't just a rumor. It wasn't just a moment. It was real. The great Kajethan Hyun finally had something to lose. A weakness. Small. Innocent. But powerful enough to break him. Kajethan felt their eyes. Their thoughts. Their plans already forming. His hand remained on Seo-min's back. But his gaze lifted slowly. Cold again. Deadly again. But now, there was something else behind it. Something new. Something dangerous in a different way. Because this time, he wasn't just protecting power. He was protecting her. And that changed everything. That night, everything changed. Not loudly. Not in chaos. But in silence. Kajethan gave the order with no emotion on his face. Run a DNA test. His voice was calm. Flat. Like this was just another deal. Another problem to solve. No mistakes. No emotions. Just facts. That was how he lived. That was how he survived. His men moved fast. Samples were taken. Calls were made. The process began without delay. In his world, truth was not guessed. It was proven. But while they waited, Seo-min stayed. No one told her to leave. No one dared to touch her. Not after what they saw. Not after what he did. She followed Kajethan everywhere. Through long halls. Into rooms filled with men who lowered their eyes when he passed. Into spaces where no child had ever stepped before. She walked beside him like she belonged there. Like she had always been there. "Why is everyone scared of you?" she asked once, looking up at him as he walked. Kajethan did not answer. He kept moving. Her small steps quickened to match his. "Do you always wear black?" she asked again. Silence. "Do you sleep at night?" Still nothing. But she didn't stop. She smiled. She looked around with curious eyes. She laughed softly at small things, like the echo of her own footsteps, or the way the guards stood too stiff when she looked at them. Sounds that did not belong in his world. Sounds his walls had forgotten. Then one night, she asked something different. They were alone in a quiet room. Kajethan stood by the window, looking out into the dark city below. Seo-min sat on a chair, swinging her legs gently. "Why don't you smile?" she asked. Her voice was soft. Simple. But the question stayed in the air. Kajethan did not turn. He did not speak. Because he didn't know the answer. He hadn't smiled in years. Maybe longer. He wasn't sure when it stopped. Or why. And for the first time, he noticed it. The absence. The emptiness. Behind him, Seo-min watched quietly. Waiting. But she didn't push. She just sat there. Close. Present. Imelda stood outside the room, unseen. Watching through the small opening in the door. Her arms were crossed tightly, like she was holding herself together. She saw everything. The way Seo-min followed him. The way Kajethan did not send her away. The way the air changed when they were near each other. She wasn't here for money. Or power. She never was. She had lived without both. She could do it again. All she wanted was for her daughter to be safe. Even if that meant standing in the shadow of a man like Kajethan. But deep inside, something else still lived. A memory. That night. The rain. The way he carried her without a word. The way he saved her when no one else would. She had never forgotten. And now, watching him again, she wondered if that man still existed, or if he had truly disappeared into the darkness he built around himself. Inside the room, Kajethan finally turned slightly. His eyes moved to Seo-min. She was still watching him, still waiting. And for a brief moment, something shifted again. Small, but real. Because the longer she stayed, the harder it became to ignore her. And the harder it became to remain the man he used to be. The results came in before dawn. No delay. No mistake. Kajethan stood alone in his office. The file rested on the table. White. Clean. Simple. But heavy. He stared at it for a long time. Like opening it would change everything. Maybe it already had. Slowly, he reached for it. Opened it. His eyes moved across the page. Line by line. Cold. Careful. Then, they stopped. 99.9% match. The words did not shout, but they echoed inside him. Seo-min was his daughter. His hand tightened around the paper. Not shaking, but firm, like he was holding on to something that could slip away. The room felt smaller, the walls closer, the air heavier. For the first time in years, Kajethan Hyun did not feel in control. He closed the file, walked out, each step slower than usual. Measured, but not steady. Outside, the sky was still dark, the world quiet. But inside him, something loud had begun. Not anger, not rage. Something else. Something he had buried long ago. Fear. Not of enemies. Not of death. But of losing something he had just found. A small voice broke through his thoughts. Daddy. He turned. Seo-min stood there, barefoot, sleep still in her eyes. She walked toward him slowly, carefully, like she was unsure. Did I do something wrong? She asked softly. Kajethan looked down at her. Really looked. Her eyes. Her face. So much like his. So much he tried to forget. And for once, he did not look away. Slowly, he lowered himself, knelt in front of her, bringing himself to her level. Something he had never done for anyone. His voice, when it came, was quiet. No. A pause. Heavy. Real. Then, you did everything right. Seo-min's face lit up. Not loud. Not wild. Just pure. Simple happiness. And it hit him harder than anything else. Because in that moment, Kajethan knew. There was no going back. They did not wait. His enemies never did. News travels fast in his world. Faster than truth. Faster than control. And now, Kajethan had something to lose. That made him vulnerable. That made him a target. The attack came without warning. A loud crash. Glass shattering. Then, gunfire. Sharp. Endless. Chaos erupted. Men shouting. Running. Falling. The air filled with smoke and fear. Imelda reacted first. She grabbed Seo-min, pulled her down, shielded her with her body. Stay close, she whispered, her voice shaking but strong. Seo-min held onto her tightly. Eyes wide. Heart racing. Kajethan moved. Not like a man. Like a storm. Vast. Precise. Deadly. Every step planned. Every move final. He took down one. Then another. No hesitation. No mercy. This was his world. This was what he knew. But this time, it was different. He wasn't fighting for power. Or control. Or fear. He was fighting for them. For the small girl who called him Daddy. For the woman who stood her ground, even in fear. Bullets flew past him. Close. Too close. But he did not stop. Could not stop. Because behind him was everything that now mattered. The noise slowly faded. Gunfire slowed. Then stopped. One by one. Silence returned. Heavy. Thick. Final. Kajethan stood still. Chest rising. Eyes sharp. Making sure it was over. Then, he turned. Seo-min broke free from Imelda's arms. Ran to him. Without fear. Without doubt. Straight into his arms. And this time, he did not hesitate. He held her. Tight. Secure. Like letting go was no longer an option. Her small hands clung to him. I was scared, she whispered. Kajethan closed his eyes briefly. Then opened them again. Clear. Certain. I'm here, he said. Not as a boss, not as a ruler, but as a father. Behind them, Imelda watched. Tears filled her eyes. Not from fear, but from something deeper. Something she had almost lost hope in. The man who hated children had just found his heart. And maybe, just maybe, a family. If this story melted your heart and left you craving more twists, secrets, and forbidden bonds, don't wait. Subscribe now and join us for the next thrilling chapter of love, power, and unexpected family in the world of the Mafia.